All right, peace. Greetings, family. Welcome to another edition of Baba TV Every Time Fire. And it's with a heavy heart that we're here today to talk about the transcendence to the ancestors of our brother and elder, who is now an ancestor, brother Baba Heru. First, I want to give a condolences to his family, all of his children, his wife, and just the whole community who are mourning and feeling this tremendous loss to the community of our brother Baba Heru. Um, Before I bring the two guests on, I just want to give a little history on my relationship to Baba Heru. Uh, I first met him, as you all know, those are that's my teacher right there, brother Rafu, Baba Rafu, and Baba Tahuti. Those two elders, Babas of mine, are my introduction to Kemetic or Egyptian studies. I used to be with Rafu more all the time. He was the traveling brother to take care of all of the business aspect of the store, and he would take me to New York all the time with him, and we would go to Brooklyn, and he would go to see Queen Afua and Brother Samaj, and he took me one time, and we went downtown Manhattan to his office. I didn't know at the time where, where we were going. I hadn't met him. I knew of him and all of his jewelry, sa, and had seen videos of him and knew that him and Rafu had went back years and years. I'll let Baba Tahuti talk more about that. And so we went this one time in downtown. I was in the van waiting. Rafu went around the corner to the store to get something and asked me to wait. And we were right at the edge of the Manhattan Bridge. And so I happened to look and saw this black man walking across the bridge. Well, walking almost at the getting across the bridge to my end where I was, dressed in all white, dreadlocks with a staff, a deshret. And I said, "Oh, this must be him." And he walked. He was getting closer and closer. Rafu still not back yet. He at the store, and he walked all the way up to the van because he had recognized Rafu's van. And I said, "Are you brother Samaj?" He just looked at me and kind of gave me a little chuckle and said, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh, good to meet you." I said, "I'm with brother Rafu, and pleasure to meet you." Just about that time, Rafu was coming around the corner, and he said, "Okay, brother, wait down here to make sure I don't get a ticket, and I'll be back." And so that was the first time that I met. That was my initial time that I met Baba Heru, and then he would take me up to Queen Afua's and Baba Heru's store, which was on Kingston Ave between Bergen and Dean, and I saw all these Kemetic, which I'll be showing you here in a minute, Kemetic pictures and medunetta just all over the neighborhood, just beautiful. Then I met Queen of Four, and it just became a regular thing of Rafu going back and forth, taking me. Now, in the meantime, in between time, this probably was about 96. I want to say 95 or 96. Okay. Now we jump on up. This is my remember. This we back up. This is the House of Kemet in Washington D.C. That was owned and ran by Baba Rafu and Baba Tahuti on Georgia Avenue. As you can see here, the beautiful pictures and all of the pharaohs and everything. It was a two-level store with the clothes on one level, the information, which Tahuti controlled all of that and pretty much educated half of Howard University students. Um, I'm gonna say he did, and it was just a beautiful time on Georgia Avenue. It was a hotbed for Black consciousness. Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, again, shout out to Attorney Shabazz bringing a lot of the teachers to Howard University, Khalid Abdul Muhammad, Minister Farrakhan, Sherzad Ali, Tony Martin, uh, Steve Coakley, and so many others, Ashraf Kwesi, and so many others back at that time. And so that Baba Tahuti and Rafu were my introduction to Egyptian or Kemetic studies. All right. So I was just totally blown away because, I came out of the NOI Rastafarian. I have to say both because I never picked one over the other. I like them all. And as you see that reflected in my channel today, there is but one truth, but there's many different ways to tell it. And so I try to stick by those ideals today. And I just want to move it up where I met my younger brother here back in I want to say 99. And so, I'm back and forth strong in New York by then. And we're doing reggae shows with information, vending reggae information. You heard me tell the story before. And I took Ross AD with me one time up to Brooklyn to meet Brother Samaj. And these are some of the pictures of a younger Brother Baba. I probably was in my 30s then. I look like I'm about 10, but I'm actually in my 30s. And see these pictures here. And we actually met Brother Samaj's brother that day. And when we pulled up, I told the story. I went so much with Rafu, I kind of got it twisted. The time that I saw Ben Vereen was with Brother Adam, and the limousine pulls up, and I'm wondering who is this in this limousine? In this limousine. Well, there's no one in the limousine. Ben Vereen was inside the school, and he popped out about 2 minutes after we pulled up, and I was told Ross AD, I was like, oh wow, that's Ben Vereen, the great dancer. And then one of the sisters came out and told me that he had, or I think Samaj's brother might have told me that they were working on him because I think it was cancer that he had, and that ultimately they freed him of that disease. So that's just one story. And Ross AD went on to be acquainted with him later on. He's kind of like me. All you got to do is open the door for him, and then he'll take the initiative to go do things on his own, which is a good way. It's always best to do things off your own merit. And so he does that. And so I just wanted to get that out of the way. I'm not as succinct as everybody else is. So I wanted to take my time and just try to be as thorough as I can. But this was just to give the family a little, history of Baba TV and my relationship to my Baba Heru. And may he rest in eternal paradise as an ancestor now. So with that being said, as the host, as you know how I do, I'm all done talking, running my mouth. I like to bring to you Baba Tahuti and Ross A.D., the Bamboo King. Let me just show you a couple of more of these pictures here. Get that out the way. Yeah, look at that one. And Baba Heru, he had the whole neighborhood painted to give our people, I guess, a whole new cultural expression. You know, they say a picture's worth 1,000 words. So he wanted to, I guess, rehabilitate us spiritually, culturally, and otherwise. Give me a second here. Wow. Let me see here. All right. All right. All right. Okay. So, with that being said,
Mm.
I would like to turn the mic over to Baba Tahuti, and he can correct me or better give you a thorough understanding of the brother and his relationship to our people and the tremendous works that he has done. Brother Tahuti?
Well, thank you very much, Baba. Again, I just want to, as you give my condolences, send my condolences to the family, his personal family, the New York family, the international family that he had an impact on. We've the brothers on now on the boat of eternity, sailing with those ancestors, who left a great impact here on in this realm. I'm honored to have known him. We engaged in many conversations. As you said, our common link was Brother Rafu, whom I met first. I first met the brother back in the 1980s when he came down to bestow an ankh on Reverend Willie Wilson uh, over in Southeast Washington, D.C., one of the, I'll say, black nationalist spiritual leaders, of our people here in the city. That was the first time I met the brother. Since then, we went into some very deep conversations, knowing him, knowing Doc Ben. There were some differences in terms of how they taught, and I couldn't understand the differences at first. But after spending, more time with Ben, and then, more time, like interacting with Samaj, I came to understand there are many ways to tell the story. There's not just one way. So there was no criticism. He had his way and was very impactful. Uh, again, to see a man transform himself, what he was during the first part of his life, to make his income and one thing was one thing, but then he decided, I'll put it like this in terms of our age. It was a hard thing being a real bright, intelligent mind being called a Negro, coming out of being a Negro. Like again, racism, oppression, where we were in the 50s and 60s was as such that that's who and what we were. The freedom movement not only challenged the legal status in terms of the Civil Rights Act and then later the Voters' Rights Act, but we had somewhat of a mental freedom where brothers like Brother Samaj, the brothers in other groups began to express ourselves more openly culturally because the cultural identity, finding out, you can find out who you are and knowing thyself culturally. There was a record that came out of Motown by the group, the Temptations. And I used to tell my students that's a perfect example. There's a song they sing that's a perfect example of the definition of what culture means. See, the way you do the things you do, the way you eat, how you wear your clothes, how you fix your food, how the specific adaptation of how you live your life as a group. That's what culture is. So people in different areas with no contact with each other normally have different cultural traits and things that we do as such. So uh, readdressing our culture as a people. One of the reasons I'm dressed today again is in honor of the brother, because again, looking back at as our history, the linkage between us as a people to the Nile Valley culture is important visually. When the European wants to make a movie and have Elizabeth Taylor play the role of Cleopatra as such, that image has an impact as such. So if our creative artists are creating images where for our children to see us in the roles of great people, us in the different avenues of life, what that does, it opens up something within us. We begin to vibrate at a different rate in terms of being proud of who and what we are as such. And so in the area where Baba's store was, that was his whole canvas, the whole neighborhood, the youth growing up there, walking down the street, people driving by. They saw ancient Kemet or images of it or likenesses of ancient Kemet. That gave them a different aspect to ask questions. What is this? What does this mean? They were learning more about themselves. So, in the course of the best part of his life, I call the second part of his life, as he set out on a journey that he selected for himself to become a creator of fine artware, to become a priest, to become a teacher of the ancient language, to teach these values. These are the things that he purposely set out to become and to do. And he very successfully created the studio of Ptah, the joyery, not jewelry, the joyery, the joy of the images that he created for us to attach and wear as such, was a remake, a transformed man who was one thing at one point and became something else at another. He was the caterpillar on the one hand in the early part of his life, who became a great butterfly in the second part of his life. His creations, his teachings, the impact of what he sent out into the world. His queen, and the impact in health, is the other part of who we are as spiritual beings. A part of his teachings also, know thyself, like to get the impact and emphasis and the space to be creative, like as the other part of who we are as males, to create that dual energy and put that out in the universe as part of his creative force. These are the things, these are some of the things that this brother will be known for. And as we are in the early parts of the 72 days before the official ceremony is done by the family, uh, check out the internet, go to YouTube, find out more about the brother, listen to some of his teachings, understand the impact that he had on people. Our next spokesperson coming up, I joke with him, uh, Ross, Ross D.A. I knew him as a pup, as a very young man, also, and to see uh, how he was impacted, interacting with us, interacting with Baba, um, uh, how he has grown to be who he is. I'm proud of him, because I think old brothers like me, Brother Rafu, Brother Heru, uh, we were the remaining people from an era where it's time to learn. So, that cycle of really teaching the cultural explosion from the 1980s up through 2000, it's just about worn out because you don't have the impact, cultural impact that we once had and the fun that we once had, during the growth of that period. It'll come back. For you younger persons, it'll come back again. Things are kind of cyclical. But the impact that this brother had in every way during the high culture from right after the Civil Rights Movement, we got the Voters' Rights Act passed in 65, the Civil Rights Act passed in 64, the explosion of 1968 when they assassinated King. Out of all of that confusion or movement of the 60s, when the 70s opened up, it's a cultural explosion. And part of that cultural explosion, Dr. Ben's Black Man of the book, The Black Man of the Nile, as such, right, had an impact. The study groups in Harlem, the study groups up over in Brooklyn with not just college students now learning, but the average brother and sister coming together after work, going to these little study groups to learn in a different kind of way. Out of that came again these smaller groups and groups like the Comedics Teaching Center of Baba Heru up there in Brooklyn. I think he actually started. It started in form about 1974. By 1984, it's like again seeds have been laid. You got brothers. I think that will be presenting information at his homecoming about the exact dates. But again, during this process, you see this thing begin to set in, so that by the early '90s, the studio of Patah in New York, the House of Kemet, Jewels of Aton, Washington D.C., uh, things have become institutions. Uh, the activities like the National Association of Black Social Workers, ASCAC, the Association of Classical African Civilization, their national conventions and what have you. Now the cultural thing has come forward. The jewelry, the clothing, the whole thing beginning to grow and show there's viability in being who and what you are as you transform from having been that other name that they called us in the history books and what have you, in terms of who and what we had become of our own free will and our own thinking, searching, thinking it all the way through, and choosing to be this as opposed to just being that because you were pushed into a pile. But again, these are sad days in a way, and again, they are days to rejoice, to honor the fact that the spirit of the ancestors was alive and well. The brother made a good choice, like in choosing the path created by the ancestors, to explore and to continue to bring forth to the people in this new age and time. So we celebrate the success of Brother Heru and what he was able to do as he transformed himself. It's those successes that are great that we should all remember. And I'm sure in the future we'll hear more about the brother. But take your time, honor, and do know that a great man walked the face of this earth. He left his footprints in the sand, and for his family, for his friends, for everyone that he influenced, by being here in this realm with us, his name will live on forever. Thank you.
All right, Ross AD.
Wow. Well, you know, I there's so much to be said and so much that can be said, and I just have so much gratitude of being invited to be a part of commemorating the spirit of Baba Haru Ankara Samaj Sepeta, and to be able to join, Baba Tahuti San Nebercher in, remembrance and commemorating the fond memory and the works of Baba Heru is just just a treasure. It's just something I would never really have expected to, we were just speaking, and I would have never expected, thinking about just being a young teenager, switched on to all these incredible academics like Brother Tahuti and incredible artisans and teachers like Baba Heru and so many others. I mean, really, when I met Baba, it was, I believe it was 1999, might have been 98, the end of 98, 99, somewhere in there, where I was a young, upper middle class, white Northern Virginia kid, switched on and activated, inspired by reggae music, listening to Bob Marley and Peter Tosh and Burning Spear and Israel Vibration, Steel Pulse and the like, and getting really entrenched into trying to, you know, embody certain aspects of Rastafari, even though it wasn't my cultural inheritance. It was the culture outside of my own culture that I was most attracted to and felt the most spiritually stimulated by. My family was, a very moral family, good people, but not very religious people, very agnostic, if not even atheist to a certain point, but moral atheists, and so I didn't have a lot of exposure to the church or the mosque or the temple or the synagogue or any of that was not a big part of my cultural development as I was a child. And it was Rastafari that set me on the path into developing consciousness and a more moral code in my conduct within the world. And I really gravitated to it and grasped a hold of it and was really inspired by it. But it was when I was about 17, I believe. I believe I was about 17 years old when I met Baba. Baba TV Every Time Fire. Well before YouTube, well before even DVDs. It wasn't even DVDs to acquire at that point. It was VHS. If you weren't listening to the elders speak to you or listening to brothers and sisters speak their point of view on the street, it was VHS or audio cassette, if you were lucky to get a hold of these teachings. And me and Baba became dear friends, brothers, and really he was the one who didn't pull me out of anything that I was already into deeply, but further deepened my interest and my investigation and my research and my embodiment of the principles of Rastafari, as well as exposing me to the broader spectrum of Black liberation theology and Afrocentric consciousness, whether it be the Nation of Islam, whether it be the Moorish Science Temple, whether it be the Kemetic sciences, Moorish sciences, and all the different aspects of the African spiritual systems that were ultimately appropriated by the rest of the world and engineered into the cornerstones of their spiritual systems in many ways, while the credit was extracted from the mothers and fathers of culture and civilization and sort of brushed under the rug. And it was because of Baba that I was able to meet Brother Tahuti Sa Nebuchadnezzar. It was because of Baba that I was able to meet Baba Heru. It was because of Baba that I was exposed to Reverend Phil Valentine and Brother Bobby Hemmett and Brother Dawood and, Khalid Abdul Muhammad and Minister Louis Farrakhan and all the teachings of Elijah Muhammad, all the books and academia of Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm X and Amos Wilson and on and on and on and on and on. It all started for me when I met Brother Bob. And, and I'm grateful for that. I'm tremendously grateful for that. And I just so appreciate being a part of this conversation. And I'm not going to crowd it because as I did when I was young, all the way on up till today, I like to consider myself well young. They say the 40s are the new 20s. So I'm just going to go with that. So at 43, I am just gracious and humbled to be able to sit at the feet of the master, like the master teacher, Brother Tahuti Sa Nebuchadnezzar, and was able to build a relationship with Baba Heru Ankara Samaj Sepata, where we were able to go in depth on principles and almost like a counselor, like a therapist at certain times in my life when someone who thinks that they have all the answers only for them to change every decade going around the wheel, to actually seek out more and more answers of that which I thought I knew, but now only confuses me. I would call Baba Heru, and I would be able to talk with him about friendships and about interactions in the world and about my own conduct and about my relationship with my wife, who I'm proud to say I was able to, my wife's, not only her engagement ring that I gave her, which is actually this little offset, this Isis or Mayat, that I would give her as sort of a token of my love and admiration for her and the female principal and my loyalty to her, which this was given to me as a gift. It's by Baba Heru, but it was given to me as a gift by Brother Baba. And it went as the engagement ring to my wife. And then when I was finally able to build a nurturing relationship with my wife into what would become a marriage, I wanted to set it in stone with the principles and conviction that his joy ari that he developed through his life would represent. As Baba said, what is it? A picture is worth 1,000 words and a symbol is worth 1,000 pictures. And the very projects that me and Baba developed in building and designing T-shirts and stuff like that for our ADD Sound Syndrome outfit was all inspired by the works of Baba Samaj. Baba Heru was the one who inspired the alchemy of taking different symbols from different religions that were all African and amalgamating them together to make a new symbol that conveyed all the aspects of all these different symbols. So without saying a single word, you're speaking volumes of the African spiritual system. And I I so appreciate him in my life, and I so appreciate Baba Tahuti, and I so appreciate Brother Baba. I wasn't planning on getting this emotional, being a part of this, but you know, it's real. It's real when you know the stuff that sticks with you from a youth on through your whole life, or that you maybe evolve out of being a young person. You know, you become a man and you put away childish things and you hold on to what sticks with you. That's what's real. And all of these life lessons that I've carried, and all of these lessons that I you know received from Baba Tahuti and from Baba Heru and so many others that stick with me today have made me the person that I am. And I'm not a perfect person, but one of the best lessons that I received from Baba Heru was like, well, God doesn't have to draw in straight lines. You know, it's the perfect imperfections of the art that represent the deity that is always teaching you how to improve on yourself. If perfection was a goal you could achieve in your life, then that would be the end. But life is to evolve in the pursuit of perfection and constant correction. And he even used himself as an example of talking about he used to get upset when he was young about people criticizing some of the work he did when he was younger and say, "Oh, this line is thicker than that line, and this feather is shorter than this feather," and it's not. And he used to get upset when he was young because he said his ego was afflicted by those critiques and criticisms, only to learn that this was his family helping him to become better. These were the life lessons teaching him to improve and how to improve. And so I have nothing but gratitude to both of the men on the screen right here for all that they've been and meant to me in my life. And, you know, Ashe to Baba Heru Ankara Samaj Sepeta for all of his works. I mean, one thing I can say about this, you know, very tragic loss to the community, loss to the nation, and loss to the world is there's so many people that he has affected so positively in their life that when someone outruns us to become an ancestor and to join the realm of the Egun and the spirit of the All Soul, then it's a reminder to everyone that was affected by him, everyone that was touched by him, everyone that was inspired to him. And it's almost like an amplification satellite for all of those positive changes in their life, where now all of those lessons are reverberating at a higher pitch. All of them are vibrating faster and faster than they were because of our comfort with him always being there, our comfort with him always being around. Many of the people who are some of the smartest and most conscious people in the world, they even get lazy. We all get lazy. We all get comfortable with thinking we know everything until we get afflicted by something we thought we knew better than to be afflicted by, only to course correct, only to fall back into a role of course correction. And I think that as the phoenix rises out of the ashes of loss, the phoenix, or as in Kemetic Mejunet, or the Benu bird rises out of the ashes of loss to be even stronger and more radiant than ever before. It's not necessarily meaning this very same person is going to rise from the dead 3 days later. It means all of the people who were still here, who he touched in such a way, are going to now elevate in their ability to amplify that frequency even further and even broader than even Baba Heru could do while he was here. So as the Benu bird rises, once again, which we are in the process of mourning, the Benu bird is going to rise. And as Marcus Garvey said, you may have caught the lion. The lion is in the cage, but many cubs are in the bush. Well, even though we have lost the physical presence of Baba Heru, there's so many, I mean, oceans of ones and ones that have been touched, inspired, and motivated and encouraged through his words and works and teaching and insight and humor and compassion and humility that I think, the journey for Baba has just begun. The journey for Heru has just begun. So
Absolutely beautiful, brother. Thank you. That was inspiring. All right. Yeah. The Bob, again, you and this network that you've developed as you've transformed, also doing doing this work. Um, the your archives of information that you have, the number of people that you've run into. I mean, it's we talked about it before, but it's very important. You're a historian of the future, and as you archive and with this new technology, cut and paste and put these things together, I want to encourage you to keep moving down this path. Like I said, Baba TV isn't like ABC, but but in this new world of imagery and streaming and what have you, what you've done here, what you have, you are a giant. And for all of the young folk, across the world, I mean, I've seen, people interacting with you and your work, like from West Africa to England to France, just all over the place. That there's a generation of folk that understand and like what you're doing, and you are a champion among them. And I just want to encourage you to keep on doing that. And just the idea that knowing that he is a brother that we have in common in Brother Heru, who inspired both of us, who inspired Maydi. I mean, just the idea who this brother was and what he was able to do. And we are the children of his works, like, and the proof is in the pudding. And with the presentation, with your thoughts and memories of your interaction with him, Baba D, a lot of people need to hear this, to understand just the impact that he's had on the world. So this is one of those instances where we're talking about us as earth beings, as humans. It's across the board. Like, it's not singling out one over the other. That wasn't Baba. That's not you. That's not us. So I want to thank the people who will spend time listening to the whole presentation. And I'm sure other folks who have love for the brother and who appreciate the works, the many works that he left on this side. Not just, like I said, the teachings, the how to understand the written word, the language itself, and his material works. They're all beautiful, all beautiful. And I'm just so happy that he had a chance to spend some time to enlighten this generation of people to know and to understand what a good man that he actually was.
Beautiful. Thank you for that, Tahuti. And if I could just, that's all I want to be able to do is just to be able to document and archives. And if I can do that, I'm happy. I found my place in my niche, and the Honorable
Mm,
Elijah Muhammad said, whatever you like, love to do, and whatever you do best is more than likely what you were born to do.
hey,
And so I found that's my niche. And if I can just document that, everybody who knows me, I run around the document. I don't charge. I don't monetize.
mm,
Uh, I'm not about that. I make my own money. I don't need YouTube dollars. Because I try to be sincere, and the only way I can do that is to show and prove that without a shadow of a doubt that's not why I'm on here to make money. However, I don't fault those who do. I'm just not going to be one of the ones who do that. I do have other streams of income because we all have to live, eat, and and so forth. But not to take away, this is about Baba Heru. Baba Heru definitely inspired us all. He inspired me to change my whole cultural expression as a child of racism. Uh, to be able to stand up and fight, because I always wanted to, I always loved to fight. That's what drew me to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and different leaders in the first place, was to be able to fight my unique experiences with white folks here in America. And if this sounds strange to you black people, you should be angry and upset and get some of these tools to fight back yourself and not be a coward in the face of white racism and white supremacy. And so that's what I have had, the spirit that I had as a young teenager, what the white people call a mulatto or a half caste. See, and sometimes when you create things like that, you create something that you can't get rid of when you do things like that. And so, I'm just so happy that I was able to get in my hands on the knowledge and the wisdom and the information from Baba Heru to be able to further my journey and fighting. So that's where I'm coming from. I don't want nobody in YouTube land to make no mistake on where Baba is coming from, and really don't give a damn whether you like it or not. I didn't care at 20 and 30 years old, and at 57 now. If you think that I cared, you're gonna be so disappointed. So, but with that being said, I'm through. I don't like to do no whole lot of talking, Brother Tahuti. If you would like to segue into something else, I'm gonna leave it. You are leading this ship, not me, sir.
Okay. Well, yeah, we this is a very interesting time, as they had a big funeral service for what they're making as a new young white hero of this destructive philosophy of white supremacy. I've been to war, and the vicissitudes of war is like those are things that I don't like talking about at all. So when someone shoots somebody, when someone kills someone, that is not my vibe. I'm not going to praise anybody for doing anything stupid like that, because the issue still exists even after the shooting is done. But you can't be a 2025 new age racist and talk about people in a way without expecting some form of retribution. This society, I'll tell everybody, black, white, pink, purple, we teach our kids in this society conflict resolution through violence. The cartoon shows and things that we have been watching on TV. So they use violence as a means of conflict resolution. And so it's almost ingrained in the American psychic. So you do have to be careful out here, but no one should be in fear or should think about being muzzled because people will go that far. But as human beings, we have to be very careful about the heroes that the folks that are ruling the society are trying to make. Almost everybody in the Trump administration spoke at this guy's memorial service today. That's an awful lot of government making a hero out of somebody. I'm sorry that he died, but hey, when a person says that he wouldn't get on an airplane if he saw me piloting it, because I don't inherently have the intelligence to fly an airplane. We have to, as a society, move beyond that point. I hope the turning point for white America is that they decide that this is the turning point where they will turn away from violence and racism and white supremacy and decide that they really do want to create a country that is what they call the shining light on the hill, as a great example for the rest of the world people to be able to look toward. That's what they should be about. If they're for creating that type of society, I'm on board with them. That's what I'm about. Let's create a society of the highest level, with the highest type of human being that we can become, and get rid of all of this violence and murder, and oppression of people. That's where we have to go. And the rest of the life beings out there in the universe, who has an eye. I don't think they want to make contact with the Earth yet because they don't want Earth people bringing the kind of behavior and culture that we've developed on this planet. They don't want to take this anywhere else or allow this to go anywhere else in the universe. They don't need bioweapons and weapons of mass destruction, like to the 10th degree, ships in the sea or what they call the space command. They don't need all that stuff out there in the rest of the universe. And so until we learn to grow up and become fully adult human beings interacting with each other and trying to create, take what the divine created and improve upon it, take it up to the next level. But right now, we're not in that kind of a posture. We don't think that way. And unfortunately, there's a part of the human population on this globe that only thinks in terms of violence and power. And but it's changing the name of their Defense Department. I think Trump is officially calling it the War Department. Yeah, well, that stuff needs to stay here on this planet. And please, if this gets off the Earth out to anything else out in the universe that can hear my voice, please make sure that that stuff stays here. Don't get off this planet. With that, brother, I have nothing else to say again. But again, thank you for taking the time to put this together. Keep up the good work. And remember, for you, the best is yet to come.
Thank you, Baba Tahuti. If you want to end off, Ross AD, with some last words, please.
Yeah, yes, I do. I actually had a couple pieces from Baba Heru I wanted to share with y'all because I failed to mention it. I started kind of cracking up there at the end of when I was speaking. But as I shared with you, my engagement piece of the winged Isis or Maya for my wife, and then when I was able to connect with Baba Heru and say, I want to build a really strong relationship with my wife, and I really want to seal it in properly with the Kemetic Joyari of yours. To do that, he was so open and receptive, and listened to what I was trying to design, and then really took it and turned it into something far more exquisite than I had even imagined. And then when he, and just to show you the generosity of Baba Heru, when he cast them and finished them and then sent them to me, we tried them on, and my ring fit, and then wifey's ring, it fit, but it was really snug. It was really snug. And when I told him, he said, "Oh, well, that's not good enough. You got to send it back to me, and send both of them back to me because I got something I want to do to them." And I said, "Okay." And so I sent them back to him, and he took the stones out. He remelted the rose gold, and he carved brand new second time around molds for them. And then when he remolded them, he added extra gold so that they could be a little bit thicker, so that in the case that our fingers do get wider and bigger and better, which they have, we could just sand out the inside, because he was like, you can't, with a stone that's fully set with a ring that's fully set with all these stones, you can't just cut it and make it wider because it'll pop all the stones out and they won't set right back. So what he did is he just made it extra thick at his own cost. He didn't charge me for any of the additional work at all. I mean, he did the whole thing over again, and then paid for shipping again and got them back to me. And they were even nicer than they were before, and they fit perfectly. Our fingers are getting to the point where they're fatter. I am going to have to sand them down. I've been hesitant to do it because I really don't want to alter the work at all. But these are the rings that he sent me. So this is my one that he sent, and you can't really see it that well, but that's a ruby in there. So my wife is a Leo. She's a Leo, so her birthstone is ruby, and I'm an Aries, so my birthstone is diamond. So what he did was he put a ruby, he set a ruby in the Ankh, and then he had the Eye of Ra and Eye of Heru on either side, set with black diamonds to represent me looking at her in life. And then He has the pyramid on either side,
Mm-hmm.
next to the feathers of Mayat, which actually have little diamonds in the top of the feathers of
Mm-hmm.
Mayat
Oh
on
man.
either side. And then on mine, there's a Djid pillar. And without even telling him about the mystical aspects of jade, my wife's from New Zealand,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a specific kind of jade from New Zealand to the Maori people, the indigenous people of New Zealand. The Maori people have called punamu, and it's jade. They used to make their weapons out of it. Lots of jewelry, lots of punamu that New Zealanders carry with them to keep a piece of home with them wherever they go to bring them back home safe and everything. And he put jade in my Djid pillar, and without me even emphasizing any of that. And then this is hers. This is her ring, and it has the diamond to symbolize me in life, and the Eye of Ra and Eye of Heru with rubies in the eyes, symbolizing her looking at me in life. And then once again, the pyramid and the feathers of Mayat with little diamonds. And then she has the buckle of Aset with a ruby to symbolize herself. And the buckle of Aset symbolizing femininity, nurturing, compassion, loyalty, and all of those great female aspects of the symbology is embedded in the back of her ring. So that's her wedding ring, and it's all set in rose gold, extra rose gold. So he said he wanted to make it extra thick so that we could shave it if it needed to come to that. And then here's mine, my matching one. So those are our actual wedding rings that were set and cast and made and designed by Baba Heru. And then as we spoke over the years, and he would always ask, "How's it going? How's wifey? How's everything going?" Wanted to know. And then in ups and downs and all arounds, and at certain points there were some rough patches and stuff. And one thing about my wife, at a time when I was like, I need to sort of renew the vows, renew some of the aspects of this. And also, my wife said, as much as she loves the ring and she would wear it all the time, she's a chef and a baker. And she would never want to wear it working because it would always get like dough stuck in it, and then it could, contaminate food and different things. So she would never wear it at work. She would only wear it when we'd go out. Oh, only wear it when she wasn't at work. But she's like, I just would like a band, a little simpler that I could actually wear at work. So he ended up crafting this at a time for us renewing the vows, which was a band with the ankh with crushed diamonds and a ruby in there specifically for her. And this is the ring that she wears when her work ring and her most time, which I grabbed off of her before we did this video, so that I could share it with you guys. And so those are my most precious from Baba Heru. But as you can see, we got you know I got a silver Gianame, and the Atan disc ring that I usually
Mm-hmm.
wear with ankhs and ankhs on either side. I have the wonderful Africa
Yep.
one, gifted
Mm-hmm.
by the Baba, both the 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 Atan and this one gifted to me by the Baba with the sun within
Mm-hmm.
Africa, with the ankhs and the eyes of Haru in the sides. I mean, just riddled with symbols. And this was a ring I got from him that he made specifically for me with, I believe it was citrine or topaz, um, uh, with the ankh, with the feather, with a black diamond and a white diamond, and a ruby on one ankh, and an emerald in this ankh, with a white diamond and a black diamond within the feathers of Mayat. So it's green, gold, and red, with the red, black, and green with the diamonds, and the citrine is supposed to symbolize. It's a preventer of procrastination, which he was very, very adamant about remembering. You can't let, and this goes for everyone. You're your own worst enemy. There's a lot of obstacles in the world, and there's a lot of people plagued by a lot of different views and perspectives, and you can't please everyone all the time, and that's always going to be the case. So if you want to walk through the world arguing with everyone who gets it wrong, or arguing with everyone when you're getting it wrong, or whatever, that's up to you. But the one enemy you really got to keep your eye on is yourself. It's yourself, because you're the one who's going to stand in the way of every achievement. You're the one who's going to tell yourself, you don't deserve better. You're not worthy of more. You can't do this. You can't do that. And he would say, if people actually talk to others the way their inner voice talks to themselves, they wouldn't have any friends. So if we can treat others better than we ever treat ourselves, that's going to be our biggest hang up in life. So he said, so brother, you'll keep that procrastination at bay, and hopefully it'll just keep you on your way. So I just wanted to share some of those pieces with you. I would be remiss if I didn't get to share some of his beautiful artwork, because it's so amazing, and it's such a treasure, and just so full of symbols and meaning. And that was one of his things that he, it's not just about adornments. He said African people are worthy of great adornments. African people are worthy of great things. African people are worthy of great wear and great fashion and jewelry and all of these things. But it's not to impress. It's not just to put yourself out there as though you're something special. What makes you special is living up to the meaning of these symbols. Living in a way where you are enacting the meaning of these symbols. And as a reminder, because one thing he would always tell me is, he's like, we do a lot of things. We have a lot of workshops, the Kingman group and all of these workshops. We have a lot of workshops that, deal with fashion and the wardrobe and the joyari and all of these things. But all of those things are secondary to actually living up to Maya. Truth, justice, righteousness, harmony, balance, order, and reciprocity. Living up, balancing every decision you make on the scale against the feather of Maya. Taking that into consideration when you do it. Doesn't matter what shirts you choose to wear. It doesn't even matter the names you use in reverence of your spiritual system or whatever. What really matters is your code of conduct. And that's how you live out your relationship with the Most High. That's how you live out your relationship with the true divine being, is by being that. And on Baba's station, on Baba's channel, we've talked about supernatural, the difference between being a natural person and a supernatural person, existing in the natural world versus the supernatural world. And I don't want people to get it messed up and think that we're talking about some spooky stuff, because it's really not about ultimate heights and depths and different layers of dark energy and all that and the metaphysics of it all. It really comes down to being a meiotic person operating with a conduct of compassion and humility and value, and having gratitude for even your opportunity to exist and to be here with ones and ones, even in an imperfect world. And that's the most important thing about the African spiritual system, is the conduct which we choose to exist and exemplify in our being and in our walk on our short time in this life. And chances are, if we don't get it right, we're going to be doing it all over again until we do. So I just wanted to share some of my gifts from Baba Heru with y'all. And once again, I mean, Baba and Baba Tahuti Sanebercher, just thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this conversation. But more than that, thank you so much for everything you've done for me in my life, and all the support that you've shown to me in my life, and and challenged me in my life to be able to stand firm in my convictions of trying to ultimately just be a better person today into tomorrow than I was yesterday. And that being said, all praises be to the one most I ever, living, true, and living God. And all honor and reverence and ashe going out to Baba Heru, Ankara Samaj Sepata, for all of your works and all of the people that you've touched. And this is a parable that I say in about every presentation I've ever made in Baba TV. But it's wise and prudent is the man who plants the seed for the shade of a tree they'll never live to see. And I believe Baba Heru was certainly one of those people who put more stock in making the world a better place for those who would come well after him than making it a safe and comfortable place for him alone.
I think that Baba Heru would want me to leave things just the way they are. I don't think anything else needs to be said. Shout out to and love and respect to my Baba and teacher, Brother Tahuti, always. And we want to talk soon, and we want to keep this going. We always want to continue to hear from Baba Tahuti and definitely the Bamboo King. And on that note, shout out to the family. My condolences again to all of his family, and rest and peace and paradise to my elder and now ancestor, Baba Heru.
Oh shit!
Bezo, what's good?
What's up, Mr. Baba? Yo, check this out, Conscious World. This is the brother Baba TV. Yo, y'all need that conscious information, man? Check them out, Baba TV.
I give a shout out to Baba TV. When I'm home relaxing, I always watch Baba TV. Whenever you get a chance, check it out. Baba TV, #1. Peace out. Of course, we're for Baba TV always, brother. Always. Peace. Today, tomorrow, forever. Give a shout out to Baba TV. One love right here, Big Will in the house on 25th Street. Peace.
We on live with Baba TV, family.
Facts. Yes, yes.
You know what I'm saying?